This video is brought to you by life insurance because I'm pissed. And you can get life insurance by going to metkevin.com/life. Okay, we just cannot get a break when it comes to the Federal Reserve. Look, last week, everybody's been worried for months about last week's March 16th Fed meeting. We were supposed to have the Fed meeting, get a summary of economic projections. The meeting came, it went, everybody was chill with it. We got our 25 basis point hike, we had liftoff, and the market took off. Everything was fine. Yet what ended up happening? This, okay? We ended up getting a whole schedule of bullcrap conversations by Bostic, Powell, Daly, Master, Bullard, Kashkari, Evans, and Barkin, all to discuss the Fed raising rates. And then today, we get this long letter from Powell, this long letter that comes out, and it's his speech on restoring price stability, which has now motivated companies like Goldman Sachs to expect the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates by 50 basis points at both the May and June policy meetings. This is literally the complete opposite of what Powell told us on March 16th. Like, I'm beginning to lose my mind because on March 16th, Powell went real deep on the idea that, look, inflation's going to peak 3 to 4 months later. We're going to monitor the data. We're going to watch the data. We're going to steadily raise rates. And after we monitor the data and steadily raise rates the first 3 or 4 times or whatever until we get to September, which is when we expect to be past our peak, where we can look and go, okay, is inflation coming down or do we need to go with a 50 basis point hike? After telling all of this to our face last Wednesday, all of a sudden today, they decide they need to come out and change their verbiage from steadily to now expeditiously. Take a look at this. Quote, there is an obvious need to move expeditiously to return to the stance of monetary policy to a more neutral level. And again, he ends his speech with, however, the risk is rising that an extended period of high inflation could push long-term expectations, remember he's always worried about those inflation expectations, uncomfortably higher, which underscores the need for the committee to move expeditiously, as I have described. Now, fortunately, his description is basically just hiking every single meeting, which is what he said last time. But why did they change their verbiage from steadily to expeditiously if you're basically just saying, hey, we're going to do the same thing we said in the last meeting. We'll raise rates 25 basis points per meeting till we get to 1.9 as the midpoint towards the end of the year. Well, unfortunately, they had to throw this note in here. We will take the necessary steps to ensure a return to price stability, in particular, if we conclude, they have not yet, but if we conclude that it is appropriate to more aggressively or move more aggressively by raising the federal funds rate by more than 25 basis points at a meeting or meetings, we will do so. Okay, all right, so wait a minute. You did say that during the meeting on March 16th. The big change is now you're saying expeditiously, and because you're saying expeditiously and you're laying the seeds here that 50 basis point hike is coming, you're now freaking out the folks over at Goldman Sachs who now say, quote, our best guess is that the shift in wording from steadily in January to expeditiously today is a signal that a 50 basis point hike is coming. The Russian invasion of Ukraine and the possibility that financial conditions could tighten more aggressively in response to a faster pace of Fed tightening both present downside risks to our new forecast. Okay, great. So wait a minute. The war in Ukraine was supposed to be a, quote, game changer, Powell. You gave us your plan, 25 basis point hikes. Why all of a sudden are you coming out with this U-turn now suggesting, well, we're going to move expeditiously, and remember, we might have to go 50. What happened to war being a game changer? What happened to just steadily raising the rate 0.25 basis points and waiting for that new, now delayed inflation peak? What happened to that? Why are you freaking out the market? Now, we are literally going from what could have been a quiet period in the market of no Fed until May, the beginning of May, the first week of May. We could have literally had 6 weeks of quiet. We're now going from 6 weeks of quiet to this stupid schedule. We're all going off yapping this week like crazy to screw with the market. Should just give it a freaking breather. It's been 5 months of red, okay? We've had enough. It's time to chill out. Dang it, Powell. You're keeping me awake.